And welcome back to Change Yourself, Change the World, episode X. We're back here with the homie Corey and Ahmed, and seems to be like a weekly thing we started doing. Start talking all this mad shit about a bunch of things and a bunch of people. And let's see where this goes. I mean, we have some memes that I wish I could share with you, but we're not. We're just gonna talk about them. You guys can hear.
All right. When you say that, to take a second back, Ahmed, when you say that we agree on Trump is the lesser of the evils, I don't even know if I could still say like either of two are lesser of two evils, man. It's really tough like to even go there.
Well,
Well,
it just depends on your definition of evil and less.
This is a good point.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think
like,
it's equally evil.
I don't know about you cannot be equally evil. You can be evil in different ways.
They are definitely evil in different ways.
I mean, there's no evilness to Trump. He's just an asshole, and he's done some shady shit in the past because he's an asshole. I mean, it doesn't seem too evil to want to make more money and always come out on top. It just seems logical. Like I said before, Trump is the embodiment of America. Like, maybe he's not self-made, but he's made himself bigger than, well, most people ever will.
Yeah, he uses the fucking presidency as a PR stunt.
Or not. Maybe he actually does want to help people because he's lost a ton of money doing this stuff. Being a president means you can't do business deals. You can't go on and make more money and make your moves. You literally can't do business if you're a president. So it could be that he's using it as a PR stunt, or some random American just was tired of politicians, and this random American happened to be an asshole businessman, which happened to be Trump. Lots of random people would, fuck, dude, didn't that Tiger Kingdom guy run for president too?
I don't know.
I think he did. So again, I don't think he's evil. He's an asshole. He's many things. But there's less for him to gain by doing all this than if he wasn't to become the president. He would have gained more by just becoming friends with the incoming president. He would have gained more money and more prestige and more power and less bullshit and less drama. Now, my only thing with Trump is that the Democrats just seem like such a clusterfuck. It feels like it's on purpose that they're such a clusterfuck of people and organizations and ideas that there is no voting for lesser of two evils. There's only the guy who's kind of doing a job, and he's not doing the worst of a job. I mean, President Trump isn't the worst president we've had by far. By far. He's continued the same bunch of bullshit other presidents have, but he's not the worst. So yeah, in my point of view, it's not a choice between two evils. It's a choice between a guy who has his best interests and potentially the best interests of the country he actually does seem to like. There's higher levels of patriotism in Trump than there are in me. Versus a straight up puppet. Weekend and Bernie's level shit. Because Biden can barely move at this point in time. Who's putting him up for president? Who's making those moves and who's pulling his strings? I'm more fearful of them than of anybody that I know from the Biden campaign, including Kamala Harris. The people that are actually running Biden, those people are the ones that I'm being sketched out for, the ones that I'm looking out for, because they're the real fucking demons, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, where you at with this? How is Trump not the devil? Or how is he a lesser devil?
yeah, I think you're maybe looking at it a little too innocently, like because we don't know all the kind of conspiracies behind, because there's conspiracies within conspiracies. There's double agents. There's a lot of proof that this whole Trump's presidency has been in the planning for a while. There was that Simpsons episode where with Trump as a president, like decades ago. There's that one that card game, that conspiracy card game, and that also has some cards that I've seen related to that. And there was letters, since 2012 of Trump considering to be becoming president. He was basically be handed the presidency, so to speak. Like a lot of people are of the opinion that these presidents are selected. They're not voted. They're just actually
Well, wasn't
selected.
that isn't that a famous quote by Franklin Delano Roosevelt that says presidents are elected, not selected? I mean, selected, not elected. Use my
Yeah,
dyslexic reversal of that.
and some rhymes there. But yeah, like conspiracies aside, there's this interesting quote here by the Aesthetis channel. Conservatives have stood on the sidelines as cities have gone up in flames. And that's kind of true. Like, and it talks about how the conservative values of now are more and more liberal than they were in the past. And like saying it's because the modern conservative is truly a slave to liberal ideology. The modern conservative would have been considered liberal 20 years ago. So conservative values are great. I'm all for some values uh, and not some just what liberal propaganda would say, which is that you're free to do anything, including teach your children how to to teach your children to mutilate their genders, like at the age of 8 and stuff, that kind of stuff.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
well, the idea of having conservative and liberal as actual terms means nothing to me because they do change. Like this post was saying, they do change over time. Whatever someone was a conservative in the 1800s is definitely not a conservative in the 2000s. It makes so terms change and people still keep using them. You might as well start calling people wigs and shit. Like to me, they're the same fucking level of lunacy when people start attaching themselves to labels. It makes no sense. You're not a conservative. You have certain set of ideals that a lot of other people who have been labeled conservative, and those ideals will then change as the group changes, and that makes sense of anything. But there's no reason why conservatives should be fighting liberals. It should always just be about freedom. Freedom is always the answer. I mean, what are some conservative values? Let's just put conservative into an actual definition here so we can see, okay, this is conservative and this is liberal. What are the conservative values that are being attacked?
self-preservation for one. Like, but right now it's people are I guess the extreme of conservatism is like selfishness uh, to the point of social destruction, and the extreme of liberalism is sharing to the point of serfdom, like where under a plutocratic rule, under the rulership of just a few, like people that are saying that, oh, we're going to help make everyone equal and help make society great, but it just ends up becoming like North Korea, where they actually drain the wealth from the majority and just have everyone share the scraps. I mean, that's what liberalism leads to eventually.
Look, again, I wouldn't mind if everyone shared the scraps if that's a society that everyone has chosen to live by and live with. But the point is that whenever you start forcing one kind of life or the other, shit isn't gonna flow. And yeah, I don't want to fucking share scraps. I want to share abundance and wealth. And to me, when I think of conservatives, I think religious, because that's 100% in the conservative value. It's religious. You think Christian. You think Christian conservative. I don't think, you might think fiscal conservative, but the first thing that pops into your mind when you say conservative is religion. It's already one thing people start attacking you for. Oh, this or that. You believe a book. You did this. And no, you're just adding other labels to potentially what conservatives might be. So fiscally conservative is probably not something most people will think about because who the hell thinks about the economy nowadays? I really don't know. I question this because I think about the economy and how to fix it and how to make it better and how to include everyone in it and how to make everyone a winner, which according to capitalism is impossible, but according to efficient resource management, it's totally possible. Is it going to be in an equal redistributionist kind of way? No, I think that's asinine. I think it'll be in pockets, just like everything else is. Technology is dispersed in pockets. This kind of new idea in economy would be dispersed in pockets as well. And I think we should give everything a try. Well, communism has been given a couple of tries and they've failed miserably because people at the top keep fucking everything up, just like the people at the top of this oligarchy keep fucking everything up. So conservatism, liberals, just a bunch of idiots if we don't actually fix any of the problems that we have right now. And again, liberals have too many fucking social problems they want to fix. Conservatives just want to be left alone, in my opinion. They don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah, the conservative ideal, the conservative ideals, they tackle more of the essential problems of government, which is too much government and not being transparent. Liberal, like you're just like, it's like a free checkbook. They think that the government just has an unlimited budget to do anything and everything, and that the government's responsible for everything instead of the community. Whereas the conservatives, like, we can do it ourselves. A lot of the things that a lot of the liberals want is actually should be done at the local level and done by the community. You don't need a big authority. You don't need to hand the keys of the castle to the government to handle all the things that you want to get handled, including helping the minorities and things that there should be charities and things like that for those kind of things. And
yeah, but I agree. Most things are local and can be locally fixed. And I think we should have different kinds of societies within this society, which is the idea of the statehood. I think states should, you can't divide states up into more, but I think we should go back into city states and having even smaller levels of power and jurisdictions. Because, yeah, one president ruling over 50 independent states, we're just too many people from too many places and in too many places to all just fall under one person and say, okay, yeah, we'll follow you. Like, why don't we have this sounds dumb, but why don't we have regional presidents? I mean, all companies are organized this way. If you're a national company, you have regional presidents and different kinds of levels and all kinds of stuff. And I guess governors are supposed to do it, but governors don't interact with other governors. Governors have nothing to, like, California and Oregon are essentially two different places. It's just kind of hard when you start doing it this way. But I just think America's too fucking big. I think the president's there's too much of a central power figure. It's a monarchy. It's just we choose our monarchs. Or we pretend to choose our monarchs, I mean.
Yeah, I think the whole states should, there shouldn't there's people that think that there shouldn't be a federal government at all. It should just be state level, and that's this whole anti-establishment idea of, and I mean, the arguments against that is like, what about roads? What about, those kind of things?
Anyways, they don't even put all that money towards the roads. Like, man, more money goes towards things we don't want anyways than towards things we need.
Yeah, the whole roads thing, I was reading in this libertarian thing, that's actually not even a problem because who uses the roads the most? The truckers. So you would just add a 10-cent fee or something, to these commercial companies so that they can.
Why are you adding more fees? There's already taxes that build our roads and maintain our roads. There's a gas tax already.
Exactly. Gas tax. That was another argument there.
For your car. That all that money is supposed to go to the roads. And yes, the cities do tap into that money sometimes, some way, some form. They do tap into those general funds, which goes back to the real problem. We don't have any power over anything. We really don't. We barely have power over the stuff in our house. We really don't have any power when it comes to the voting and legislation and moving these things. Sometimes we come out to put our voice out in an agreement or opposition, but those are rare. When like we never control our tax money, we never control where that tax money goes. We never control what companies can stay in the area or don't stay in the area, or companies. I mean, you probably shouldn't control that shit, but
I know that's right. It's kind of like the South Park episode where, like, if you want to go get cable somewhere else, they go to the dude and he's like rubbing his nipples. He's like, "Oh, wait,
right.
you can't go anywhere else because we're the only one."
Like, why don't we have citywide internet? Like, if the city ran our internet, it'd be much cheaper, much faster, and much better. And this has been proven across the country. Municipalities that actually start providing their own internet have way better service at a much cheaper rate. And that's only because the monopolies of these telecommunications companies have fucking split everything up. And they're like, all right, that's your hood and this is my hood. Don't come in my hood and I won't go in your hood. And so they don't even compete against each other anymore. They're all holding hands and making money with each other.
Wait, I don't get what's the problem with them. Why do we have to make it at city level?
Because then it just becomes a monopoly. If your competitors don't choose to compete in your area, you have no competitors. If you agree with your competitors not to compete in their areas, then there is no competition. We each have our own monopoly in our own areas, which in forms creates a monopoly with 4 companies. And this is what's happening in the United States right now. Well, the internet companies have actually lobbied heavily to not allow or to restrict the formation of municipal internet companies, because they actually have to start competing. I mean, the market we live in isn't really a free market. And if you're a big business, the only way to actually keep doing your big business is if you start getting into government. That's just how the system works. There's no way of going around it. There's no way Amazon would be as big as it is if it didn't start lobbying. There's no way any of these companies would be as big as they are if they didn't start lobbying. And that's the way our world works. I'm not blaming it. It just is what it is. So, yeah,
They have to leverage their power, man, and their power in this aspect is fucking money.
Yeah, well, that's the only power we actually have to this day. Money is the only power we actually have, and we don't even have that much of it. So, and yet we spend it on a few companies. Most of our money goes to a few companies and just all vertically integrated, which is intelligent as shit. I want to do vertically integrated businesses because it's smart, but it fucks everybody else over if you're not part of that business. Oh, what is it? What do you want? Okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how well the cities would do though in managing that. Well, I mean, internet is just like plumbing, right? I mean, once that infrastructure is laid down, they
They
just
have done great in past cities that have actually done it. They've done great. And they've actually done more to provide services and internet to people who didn't have it before. The bullshit that these companies are supposed to be doing, they're not doing it. They're just going, oh, blah, 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 and they're lobbying and bullshitting their way through all this nonsense because they can lawyer you up for years and then go, okay, yeah, we weren't doing our part of the deal. I'm sorry. That's what the fuck they do all the time. So the companies that are the cities that are actually doing it, just tap into the same lines. All they have to do is get right to tap into the same lines they already have in their city.
This is so facts right here that you just posted though. And they just keep taking more and more power away from people. There's no way are people getting power back.
Yeah. So just I'm gonna read it because I actually didn't want to read it out loud. So I don't know where you got this from, but seems interesting. There are communities and societies in America. To call America in 2020 a community or society would be comical. There are broken fragments of these things around. There are a lot of atoms. There are even plenty of families and some extended families. In some places, there are churches, which some people actually take seriously. There are even isolated traditional communities, like the Amish or the Hasidim. But on a social graph, America today looks more like a refugee camp than a stable and thriving national community. And the men in this camp are Nietzsche's Last Men, C.S. Lewis' Men Without Chest. C.S. Lewis's Men Without Chest. I don't know what that means. If the republic did not exist, no one would invent it. Okay. It is not just that this refugee camp would operate the vehicle badly, it is that they are too weak to operate it at all. So it will be taken from them, as it has been. So any plan involving permanently returning power to the American people is not a practical plan. I mean, I guess.
Super pessimistic, kind of, you know.
Any plan involving permanently returning power to the American people is not a practical plan.
I mean,
It is practical.
because it's saying like, you know, in this second paragraph is just talking about how we're like just scattered people in a refugee camp. We're not we're not a cohesive whole, and people are just kind of like too weak and too
Well, a lot of people we live in a culture too where we think in a superhero culture. We look for that one superhero, somebody to lead us all to the fucking whatever, to triumph, to take things. You know what I mean? Like for some reason, everyone seems to put that on somebody else. Well, somebody else is gonna do it. Well, somebody else is gonna do it. Like nobody necessarily steps forth and kind of like delegates or leads a path per se.
yeah. And more of that path is kind of dependent on money too, and because
Well, yeah, except for the people that are leading you down the path that is going to benefit this very small percentage that it continues to benefit.
At the same time, why do we need? I don't get why we need leaders to show the path. I don't need a leader. I need people to fucking work with me.
I get that in that same sense, but we live in a culture and a society where a majority of that society, that's what they're looking for.
well, I mean, the reason we need leaders because it's there's a lot of different aspects of a city, like, you know, your internet for one, you know, civil engineering is a very complex subject, and especially even if you're doing homesteading, there's so many things to create that permacultural cycle that you need kind of like an organizer, if not many specialists to.
That makes sense. Have you ever been in a big ass group of people trying to get a bunch of people to listen? Like you need at least one person to like, everyone's not going to pay attention.
Yeah, to get something flowing, you need a direction. Granted, but like Ahmed was saying, you don't need the person to come and do all these things. You need a bunch of people who can do all these things to get together. I don't think there should be a set leader. In my opinion, I think having a leader is retarded. What are you leading? You're leading me in what specifically?
I wasn't saying that the leader doesn't have to know. The leader has to be above all these specialists. He has to know all the general level of the specialist in order to direct them. Okay, now it's time for the landscaper to do his job. Now it's time for the, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm not totally a permacultural expert, so I wouldn't know, but it's probably not rocket science. I mean, at the basic level, but the thing is, like, I think what this quote is saying is that people are too lazy to, you know, we live in this computerized society where, like, that's what this image is talking about.
I don't know about too lazy, but we live in a, well, yeah, like we do pass on the blame and the hopes and the intentions on someone else. We rarely take charge and be the one to be responsible for all this shit. And yeah, but I still question whatever that quote I just read talking about, because what the hell is Nietzsche's last men? I don't get what that means.
Nietzsche is like
I know Nietzsche is, but what does Nietzsche's last men mean?
The existentialists that are like, you know, like, I'm gonna carve out my own path in life, and I make the meaning. The meaning of my life is something I decide, and I'll be responsible for. You know, there's no more of those kind of people. And then C.S. Lewis is the dude, you know, Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. You know, the treasure chest is referring to how they
no courage.
People, huh?
Does that signify no courage?
Yeah, like courage and like working, you know, beating the dragon and then kind of triumphing and getting the prize kind of thing.
There's no heroes anymore.
Yeah.
There's nobody doing the hero journey. I didn't know that was tribute to Nietzsche.
Nobody wants to step up to the plate, man. A bunch of subs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it would be severely inconveniencing to step up to the plate compared to like our modern day, especially now, everything is pretty much done through computer, work, shopping, uh, freaking meeting with
Trash
friends. And,
talking. Everyone's behind a fucking keyboard.
yeah, like it's just, it would be, we would have to let go of all of that and including all that conditioning that Corey was talking about of, we've been conditioned by media and stuff to also be the follower, and especially school. School just, you know, takes it all out of us, unless you were homeschooled by really good parents or something. But
Good luck with that.
yeah, like remember Serena's kids? Those kids were smart. I wonder how they are now.
Yeah, I wonder how they are now too. I think she's teaching in Jordan, or she was teaching at Jordan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Shit, I'll step up to the plate. I ain't got shit to lose. Fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Get assassinated? I mean, it's okay.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of like, yeah, there's a lot of courage necessary, but there's also a lot of technical, uh, diverse, mastery that that person has to have.
I
Um,
I don't know, man. I think you're confusing a leader with a master.
mm,
I don't think those two are the same. The master is what you seem to be referencing, someone that has all the knowledge of the things you can and will be probably be able to do. I mean, that is the future. If you ain't trying to have fucking robots serving your every beck and call, I don't know what kind of future you trying to have, but that's what I'm trying to have. I'm trying to have robot.
I mean, I want that future, but I don't want to be fat like those people were.
If I can be fat and healthy,
That man, look at that man.
There's so many things.
He is not fat. He's obese. Like
if I can be obese and healthy,
there's no contradiction.
but if I can,
And even if you can, even if you were externally fit, like there's a lot of like things tied in with the permacultural, um, uh, ancient lifestyle that we came from, that we sprang from, and we're tied to that ecosystem. Like, there's probiotics in the ground and the soil that we touch. There's, and then, think about all the, the chemtrails shooting in the background here. Think of all the side effects that are going to be hard to avoid, even if you are externally fit looking.
yeah.
There's a price to pay. And this convenience, that they have, it does come at a cost. They have to have a job to give, monetary units to sustain that kind of life, and that comes at the cost of their soul, kind of, because they're probably going to be doing some soul destroying work to fund that.
True. Soul destroying work is not the business. Yeah, I think. Oh man. Nah, I think everybody needs to be a goddamn leader. Step up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone needs to be
World, like the name of this podcast, everyone needs to change the world. What exactly do you need to change? I don't know. There's a wrong that you see in the world that I'm pretty sure you can change personally. One wrong that I see right now that I want to change personally is I want to take as many votes away from the Democratic blob that is California. I want people to vote independent. I want people to vote mostly independent because I don't want them to tie themselves to an actual party or anything else. Vote for whatever the fuck you want. Just don't vote Democrat.
vote intelligently. Just
Yeah.
think about how you'll benefit. If you really think that you're going to benefit from a deep state tied, front man like Biden,
A democrat. I mean, a Democrat.
demon.
Just don't vote Democrat. Like right now, like that's the number one thing you can do to help your country is not vote Democrat. I think that's what it is.
I'm voting Democrat. Biden all day. I got that bumper sticker. It says Biden Harris 2020 and 2024.
Oh God, no. I don't. Biden ain't gonna be alive by 2024. There's no way in hell he's be alive by 20. I mean, and if he is, that guy's being controlled by a chip in his brain for sure, for sure.
I don't think he's gonna make it to this election.
Was his son found with like a meth pipe in his mouth or a crack pipe in his mouth? Why am I seeing a meme around there, like floating around the internet about
Yeah,
that?
they stole like they promised $1 billion in security to this other firm, unless they if they drop the charges against Biden for something, and they drop the charges. Like in
Yeah, you're talking about aid, foreign aid, $1 billion in foreign aid to Ukraine, and they were prosecuting someone in Ukraine. They were looking into prosecuting someone in Ukraine, and then Biden is said to have actually put some pressure. And there's actually video of Biden talking, saying, "Yes, I told them that you wouldn't get the money." I'm paraphrasing, of course. You wouldn't get the money if you didn't fire this person, and that's kind of what happened. So it's in Ukraine. It has to do with energy. It was an energy company. It doesn't exist anymore. And yeah, it basically $1 billion in foreign aid if they fired this prosecutor, or they weren't going to give the $1 billion if they didn't fire the prosecutor. And they weren't directly investigating Biden. They were investigating someone who was related to them, not family, just their business wise, business related to them, business way, whatever. So yeah, that's where that's probably where we're getting the meme from. And they got a computer, bro. Hunter Biden left the computer at his shop and forgot about it, and it became property of that shop. And now that shop can do whatever the hell it wants with the content inside that laptop, which has been telling everyone.
Yeah, I guess see a picture of him just laying with a fucking pipe in his mouth. Just
Yeah, I don't know where that one came from.
Yeah, it seemed like someone put it there, but there's so many images of similar things. Him like with a reefer in his mouth, like he's just a total druggie. Taking
reefer?
pictures.
Reefer's not a drug.
Well, no, I mean he's
Cocaine.
he just like
I mean,
not a reefer, but
not a drug.
Crack.
well, I don't know the key word for that.
I think you're talking about crack.
Crack. It was not a crack pipe. What is it like when you're smoking crack or whatever?
Yeah, you smoke crack. You smoke meth too.
That looked like a pookie. That looked like he was smoking meth.
Yeah, but like whatever he's smoking, like he's really open about it and taking pictures and posting it all over his social media.
I mean,
Not very.
he has been to rehab, so his drugs problem isn't really a question. Who's been to rehab?
Therefore, he's had a drug problem.
Yeah, or someone thought he had a drug problem, obviously.
Well, if it was self check-in or somebody checked him in.
Who knows? What does it matter now? Like, we know Biden's fucking not a good human being.
Yeah, like it was funny. Even his son was like, if you think, even his son was quoted saying that, if you think that my family, something about his family is taking money from him or something, and then you'll really be surprised when my dad ends up taking half your income. He's referring to how
Exactly.
Biden's going to increase the tax rates to 50% for a lot of businessmen and people.
Wow. You want to take half of that motherfucker's money?
That's
You
right.
want half of my money, Biden? Kiss my.
Yeah, I mean,
That's this image here. Like, it's gonna comparing Biden tax plan versus Trump policy. So the income and payroll tax is going to be 52% under
Holy
Biden.
shit. Why the fuck do you even have a legit job at this point? You might as well just
Right?
fucking make everything under the. Why are you even trying to pay taxes? My thing is, if nobody pay taxes, they can't arrest everyone. It's physically impossible. You don't have enough prisons even with the FEMA camps. You can't arrest everybody if you don't pay taxes. Now, given that the
Yeah.
bottom percent of the population already doesn't fucking pay taxes, what happens to the middle portion of the population that doesn't pay taxes? Because the middle income earning families don't pay the majority in taxes. Just maybe in percentage, sure, but in quantity, they don't. So what if actually nobody pays taxes? That's my theory. I think we
That's
should.
actually that's the right path. Like a lot of the disestablishment people and the agorists, they're we gotta learn, we gotta figure out how to not pay taxes, because a lot of us we can't not pay taxes because our businesses, they're not gonna not pay taxes to the government. They're gonna get their licenses taken away and not be able to operate. And
Right.
so the only solution is, if you can, to work in a way that you don't have to pay taxes. And right now, for the majority of people, that's just not possible.
But yeah, a lot of people will get fired from their jobs. That's for sure.
Well,
A lot of
yeah, it's tax evasion. Uh,
That's not fraudulent.
you can withhold all your taxes, but next year you're gonna, get fined for it.
Here's my shit though. Like, how do they know? And if they already know, why the fuck are you actually having to put all the numbers in yourself?
Yeah.
Like, that's my shit. Like, I know they already
The
know.
only way they really know is if they really choose to audit your business.
It's not that hard to know how much money a person has if you're able to access
Yeah,
all
I
their
think
accounts.
it's because of depreciation and things like that. Like some people, they do depreciate their assets and they put this and that in terms of costs. Uh,
Those numbers are all basically made up.
yeah, I
Everything.
mean, the
All
more
the
you can make up, the better.
they made.
If you can't not pay taxes, at least depreciate the shit out of it and
I mean,
try to.
look up 750 in fucking federal taxes, man. You know what I'm saying? So
But that a number again was mistake. He actually paid millions in taxes, and the 750 was the amount of money that the IRS was left over. He paid $750 too much, and he's like, "All right, save it for next year." I mean, he didn't only pay $750 in taxes. That's just wrong. That's just bad reporting by the New York Times. But fuck, dude, if he did pay $750 in taxes, that's props. Because how the fuck do you go from millions to 750? Now that's some genius level accounting shit. That accounting guy needs to start making online courses. That's what's up.
No, yeah, he just said like there's a lot of losses on this and that, and
Yeah.
so
I mean, I think everybody took a loss for COVID. Everybody can claim losses. Everybody is going to claim losses. Like, I'm questioning how many taxes they're actually going to connect next year for 2020. If everyone and their mama is going to be like, nah, man, we all lost money. Like, that's going to be interesting. Real interesting. Shit. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Taxes.
yeah.
No, there's a better way to do all this. All these systems are very old school. We need to be able to pay everything, vote for everything. It should all be online. It's not even a matter of security at this point in time. It's just a matter of getting people to do it. I think voting online is more secure than voting in person and ballots and shit like that and paper. Paper's insecure as shit because you can burn paper. You can also tamper with data, but you know where the data tampering's coming from. You see logged in here, change this here, change this item at this point in time. This item, this folder was accessed at this point. Like you can, The computer remembers everything. Programs remember everything. You know when you're getting hacked, and you can be like, all right, fuck all this new data. Let's go back to the data we had before we got hacked. It's called having a development server and a production server. These are things that are easily done, and I just don't see how. No, I know why they're not being used, and I know why everything's still being kept the same way and all that old school fucking papers and shit, and fucking annoying. Everything annoys me now. The system is too slow, in my opinion. It needs to be faster, not mainstream, more fluid, so we can do things faster and move faster and reverse shit faster too. Because, fuck, man, firing people is annoying in the government sense. Firing people is, how the fuck do you fire people? How many processes and how many things do you have to? How many hoops do you have to jump through to fire someone in government? It's way easier to fire someone in a random person that's doing, what's it called, a random job somewhere than there's to fire a person from the government, in my opinion. Government employees get fired because they do stupid shit, not because they're incompetent, but because they do stupid shit. They go one level too much. So, yeah, we gotta redo everything. Redo society. Interesting. What would you redo society? What would you change? What would you change in this world? Let's get into these topics. This podcast is called Change Yourself, Change the World. What would you change in the world? Why are you trying to change yourself?
You take a look at the education system and kind of teach tangible life skills for people, or reintroduce critical thinking to people so they're independent thinkers and can, especially if we're in this construct, think for yourself in certain aspects, but still be open-minded and be teachable and coachable in certain aspects as well. Not to be too intelligent to learn.
Too intelligent to learn, you said?
Yeah, like, because some people are, like, the intellects are the hard ones to change their perspective on certain things. People that think they know too much, you know what I'm saying? Certain aspects of going to school. Say if you want, I don't know, man.
I get the education system needs to change, and it is going to change because it's crazy. They're not going to use the old buildings anymore. The stadiums, the fields, the playgrounds, everything that all the infrastructure that has been created for education and kids is now just rotting there, especially in California, since we have pretty severe lockdown still on schools. I don't think many kids are returning. I think my nephew had the option to return to school, and they were going to do staggered days with smaller class sizes anyways and a bunch of other protection shit. Here's the shit, man. Diseases don't go away. I don't understand these fucking people. Again, damn, we're just going back in circles and I'm just getting mad at the same people. I don't understand these people who want this to go away. It's not. It never will. COVID will never go away. There are other coronaviruses in the air right now. So I don't get how.
That's because of humans don't like change.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing has been in the works since 2010. You know, the lockstep program. I was just looking at this document here from the Rockefeller Institute put out. You can look this up. Scenarios for the future of technology and international development. It talks about how it was. They were trying to do this coronavirus, lockdown of the whole world with the H1N1, but they failed. The fear didn't catch on well enough for them to implement this new world order. But this is been here since 20. I mean, this plan is that they've unleashed on the world has been in the works since 2010, and
It's been in the works way longer than that. And I I don't know when the fuck they started coming out with the flu shots, but that's when this whole agenda started. I think the flu shot started that was the beginning of this part of whatever plan they have, whether it's Agenda 2030 or whatever other names you want to give these things. The flu shots were level one. Let's get everyone scared about these diseases they're gonna get on every fucking season. Let's start injecting them with more stuff that they have no clue about. And let's just get them fearful that every winter, flu season's here. Oh my gosh, take care, do this. And coronavirus to me is just flu 2.0. There's nothing to make me think different. Like, this is just flu 2.0. Oh, flu cases suddenly magically dropped. Oh my God. I mean, you could make the case that all the old people that would have died from the flu died already from the coronavirus. But I much rather, I think it's, the coronavirus is just an extension.
Like, how many? There was a lot of older population that died off. It was like there's been talks about how this was a year that a lot of the older generation is going to die off. Like I mean, it was very interesting. Like, I mean, most of the impacted by this thing tend to be in the older generation, anyways.
And there were some very fucked policies that some very democratic governors did in some very democratic states that had led to thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths. And this isn't something people are going to talk about because they want to avoid fucking reality. They want to avoid talking about the people that were positive and infected with this virus being put into centers with other older people that are not infected. So they forced people infected into retirement homes, which then made the disease spread like wildfire. But nah, let's not talk about this because it's not nice to talk about the people who have died and lost their life to this disease. This is another fucked part, dude. The people who are most likely to be brainwashed by this are people who have actually lost someone to this disease. And I'm sorry, I haven't lost anybody that close to me, but you're getting manipulated. They're using your feelings and emotions as a way to control you, like they do with everything. It's just this happens to be more close and personal because it was someone you know. Now, because someone you know died, you're okay with the mask. Now, because someone you know died, you're okay with a vaccine that you have no clue what's in it that's probably going to give you side effects. Now, because you know someone you know dies, it's okay for you to tell other people what to do. And this is some fuck shit though. Cause I don't know, people.
Or you have the same thing where you caught it and you got better from it, but you still know somebody who died. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're still on that rampage, heroism stuff.
Yeah, statistically speaking, if you caught it, you're alive. You're not special. I mean, if you die, you're kind of one of the special ones that were odd. But yeah, it's this added thing with like, oh, I know someone, and I was personally affected by this. So it gives so much more power to it's like, would you want to go to war against the Taliban if you thought they blew up the towers, if you knew someone that they killed in the towers? You'll probably be more fervent. You probably want to do it more. You probably have more desire to go to war with them. It's the same thing here. You have more of a desire because you're personally influenced here. And this is where I think
the whole thing, useful idiots.
Yeah.
They're using you. And like, there's a lot of useful idiots. Like, they're really making a lot of useful idiots out of people because people aren't using their critical thinking. You know, I totally agree with Corey, actually, like, to the original question that, you know, how do we change the world if, you know, connecting with ourselves too, like, that critical thinking is so important. And this quote, you know, really points to that. And it starts at education. It starts with, they start brainwashing people in schools. And there's a lot of interesting quotes in this now, really long passages in this channel, but this is a really nice succinct summary here. Something called cultural hegemony.
Hegemony.
I think it's hegemony.
Hegemony?
Yeah. Let me
Wait,
see. Hegemony.
wait. Thought it'd be hegemony.
Word of the day.
Okay, hegemony. We'll go with
Hegemony.
hegemony. What the fuck?
Hegemony or hegemony.
Okay, sure.
Hegemony.
But that's the second pronunciation is hegemony. Anyways, the hegemony is like, kind of like this. I think the root word with that is like homo kind of thing, like mixing things and making them all equalized or something. I'm not sure. We'll have to.
No, well, what it says is the idea that the dominant ideology of society, the beliefs, explanations, perceptions, values, and morals, reflects that of the ruling class. The dominant ideology justifies the social, political, and economic status quo as natural, inevitable, perpetual, and beneficial for everyone, rather than as artificial social constructs that benefit only the ruling class. Oh.
This one's a really deep one. I had to read it several times before I actually understood it. Like, slowly too. The first part is like, cultural hegemony is the idea that dominant ideology of society, the beliefs, explanations, perceptions, values, and morals, is that reflecting the ruling class. So the stuff that everyone's thinking is something that's created by the ruling class.
By the status quo.
Yeah, and then the second paragraph is talking about how this dominant ideology is justifying all the social, political, economic things that are going on, and it's justifying it, saying, "Oh, it's natural, it's inevitable. That's just how it is.
It's just how it is. It's the new normal."
Yeah, it's your new normal, and instead of indicating the truth, which is that it's a social construct indoctrinated on us by the ruling class from top down through schools. So like,
Yo, and peep the date on that, like 1891 to 1937.
yeah, Antonio Gramsci is a foundational theorist for the sociology of culture.
Interesting. I like all these. Fuck, dude. I probably was one of these. In one of my past lives, I probably was an academic who believed in Marxism and socialism and did all these crazy shit. But this is interesting because, yeah, it's exactly what's going on in society right now. We think. Go for it, Corey.
Well, is it fair to say that, like, then collectively, the naivete or whatever, people's naiveness has been there collectively for quite some time, and people have been talking about this for a time.
Right.
It seems like very few people speak out against the collective, where the collective seem to go against or listen to whatever the ruling class are trying to bestow before them. You know what I mean? So like, shit. So critical thinking tends to be very far and few for quite some time. We're almost talking like hundreds of years.
Critical thinkers have always been the minority of any population because most people follow. That's what I think.
I think it's kind of in our evolution, to follow, to look to our social sociology. I mean, there's that on and off switch in our brain, right? But
And at the same time, people have different boiling points. Someone might get tired of the taxes at 1% and want to fight the government at 1% taxes. And then other people will only fight the government when they're taking 99% of his shit. So we all have different breaking points. We all come at different times. We're all at different levels. And yet we're all trying to be better and do better and become better, when that means so many different things in so many different ways.
All right. I read something on like today, I think it's online on Twitter, and it was like, be careful to the extent of like always wanting to be better, because that itself can become an addiction.
Right.
So very interesting.
It is a limiting experience, because if you always want to be better, there's always a feeling of inferiority, like you're not enough.
Right. Well, yeah, but as long as you're willing to embrace like being wrong and willing to
Right.
embrace like the opposing of not being better, but
But,
having mistakes
but
and
that's
failure, etc.
that's part of being better, though.
I mean, it depends on the perspective of the person, though. I guess it is part of being better,
I don't
but
think we should ever stop being better. Like that's one of the things you can never be too extreme in. We, we can never stop self-improving ourselves, and we should never ever think that we're done, you
True.
know. But yeah, definitely like part of being better is to realize when you're uh, pursuing that too recklessly or being obnoxious about it. You
Right.
know, you got to be better in terms of all virtues.
True. You gotta be better in all ways, not just a way.
Yeah,
True. Let's go back into that cultural hegemony things. That
yeah
is
I was going to mention about this thing here. Like, have you guys heard of a Titler's cycle?
no, but probably you just suck at names.
This is the whole thing that we keep talking about. How when did I save a meme on this? It's basically like Titler's cycle is that whole process where we get comfortable, and then we uh, get as we get comfortable, someone's going to be there to, big government's going to be there to rule over us, and then eventually we got that 99% tax, and now we're slaves, and then eventually we escape slavery. We get frustrated. We eventually escape the bondage, and then
Oh, you
that
think I saw
particular
it?
cycle, going round and round. And
Yeah, yeah. I think it says. Yeah, I think I've seen it. It's the one where I forgot what the hell the terms were, but yeah, we go from being free to being slaves. Oh, here we go. So we have faith and then courage, and courage goes to liberty, and liberty goes to abundance, and abundance leads to selfishness, and selfishness leads to complacency, and complacency leads to apathy, and apathy leads to dependence, and dependence leads to bondage, and bondage has to lead to faith again. That bondage to faith shit is fucking. And how the fuck do you go from bondage to faith?
let's see, let's look at the more explained one.
Yeah, that's the one I remember seeing. These kinds of.
Oh, okay, so bondage is where people start opposing those conditions, like bit by bit. You got the people that,
Oh, so because you're too dependent, you go into bondage.
yeah,
And when you are in bondage, you start opposing the conditions, which then gives you faith.
personal freedoms for more whatever safety.
Right.
but that question of, like, how do you get from bondage to faith?
That makes
That's the critical part, I think, of this whole thing. I think because if you can always, if you, that's the secret sauce to, making sure that you don't end up in bondage again, to make sure to oppose conditions and oppose that cultural hegemony and
hegemony. So I think it actually, yeah, like you were saying, it's when you're in bondage, the only way to get out of bondage is to not only oppose your conditions, but to believe that you can get out of bondage. If you don't believe that you can get out of bondage, you're very, very unlikely to ever even fucking try.
oh, okay, so that's just the belief part. Okay, so that is actually just faith, and then from faith it goes into
Courage.
courage. I see.
Yeah, but looking at an inner circle, though, you see that death and dependence. We about to die.
Yeah. Well, once you are dependent on something, you're pretty much dead. Just kidding.
Okay, so
There's a
lag and then log.
what the hell's a lag log? Okay, I don't get that one.
I don't know what log means, but lag means that, like, yo, we're just, kind of getting that energy to fight, and until eventually, after that courage, you start fighting, then you eventually get some sort of liberty.
I don't. The inner circle makes sense. I don't really get, but the outer circle makes total sense.
The inner circle is like summarizing the outer circle, like in a pattern. Like there's four overall stages.
This is where I agree completely, though, because I believe America has lived so much in abundance that they became selfish, complacent, and apathetic. And I was selfish, complacent, and apathetic for a large part of my life when I was younger. Um, Once I started opposing the conditions and seeing that I can actually change them, well, the whole idea, change yourself, change the world. I have grandeur fucking visions of changing the goddamn world. So I'm already thinking opposing the conditions. I already see that depending on a system to give you everything you want without actually having anything keeping check on that system is just asinine. It leads to corruption all the time. Always. It always leads to corruption. So I think I jumped the bondage, or I felt the bondage before, and I just went into faith, and that faith has led me into courage, and that courage, I think I'm in courage right now, or I'm building up faith to get into courage. That's where I'm at personally. Yeah.
Yeah, the interesting thing is with the cycle is that it's kind of inevitable. Like what happens, that's what this whole Tiller cycle is basically saying, that it's kind of inevitable. Once we get, unless you master that key ingredient, and you have faith. And I think that's what spirituality is kind of trying to do with us. But like this whole, eventually we get liberty, and that's when we get that prosperity, right? But this graphic kind of explains why that liberty eventually leads into bondage, right? Because
Right.
we have this liberty to, development of misplaced liberty. We eventually build up our liberty so much that we give everyone the liberty to deny deny our spirituality, deny God. And we got Satanists and pedophile adrenochrome people, like, and we have the liberty to abuse grace to sin. Like Jesus died for our sins, but that doesn't mean we can just
Sin the fuck out.
yeah, we can just sin as much as we want. He died for the sins so that we could be more graceful in actions and not have to be so fearful of fire and brimstone kind of stuff. And then we also lose the liberty to control ourselves. You got like in this past century, of decades, we've got science telling you, like, there's so many ways that society just tells men and women, especially women, that you don't have to control yourself. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you eat cheesecake all day, if you
That's gone.
have any sort of self-restraint and promiscuity, um, so many things. But yeah, that basic summary is that we get the liberty to destroy ourselves. And
Well, too much of a good thing can be bad. Always.
Much of any good thing is bad. I had this conversation with Rico before, because he said that, like, if he had the most ideal world, what did he say? Like, live on an island, just do nothing, smoke weed all day, and just chill. And I'd be like, well, bro,
I have sex. That's it.
you're like stressed eventually or something like that. Like, even that perfect life, eventually something will stress you out, or you get stressed, or like too comfortable becomes stressful. It's very interesting.
I want to do more, but in a perfect world, there wouldn't be anything left for me to do. And is that even perfect? If there's nothing left for me to do, is that even the perfect world? Or is the perfect world the world that I am doing shit in, even though some of that shit is some shit I don't really want to do?
there's always going to be achievements, even if you're like an immortal, enlightened guru who can actually be Super Saiyan.
Nice.
There's still going to be higher levels in that.
Dope.
And even if you achieve those higher levels, there's many realms above the heavenly realms. There's realms where you're not even form anymore. You're beyond form, and you're just you're empty.
Because wouldn't be to try to even claim that you've evolved to some extent is almost just like it's an ego or a super ego anyway. So it's like you would just know, you wouldn't have to claim it.
I don't know.
Yeah, we were actually kind of talking about that today during our Dharma class. There's a passage from Diamond Sutra talking about, and actually it refers to a story, but the Buddha was. The story goes like, where the Buddha asks Ananda, if I was enlightened, and I told you that I'm enlightened. Am I really enlightened? And then Ananda's like, yes, Holy One. Yeah, you are. How else would we know? And then the Buddha's like, no, incorrect. If I was truly enlightened, I wouldn't, and I told you that I'm enlightened, I wouldn't be actually enlightened, because the person that's truly enlightened, they don't have they've already completely let go of their uh, attachment to a sense of self, a sense of their being, a sense of even living, having a life, because they've already gone beyond the whole death birth gap. They've already like totally transcended all that. And um, yeah, they're unified consciousness, to put it in words, but there's probably like a few words that can encapsulate what enlightenment is. But definitely encapsulating it and saying that I'm enlightened, is probably.
Isn't it tough to explain something that, like, how do we, like, I mean, that we aren't enlightened, or I don't feel like I'm enlightened, so I can't explain something I don't think I am or understand.
Yeah, that's probably why it's Buddhism, they call it like non-dualistic. It's beyond description, beyond any sort of encapsulation and any sort of uh, thing that the mind can grasp and contain in something. Anything that you can contain in some sort of thing, that's not it. And
Hmm.
and that's why the Hindus, they're like, whenever they talk about enlightenment, they have a saying called neti neti. Like if you, the master, he would always, neti neti means not. So when one of the master was asked, like, oh, Guru, I experienced this wild, cosmic, amazing experience, and the master's just like, neti neti. I mean, that's not it. There's not it. There's even deeper, higher realms that are beyond experience itself. Um, how do you know you experienced it? That's beyond me. But I guess you know it when you, because how do you know you experience something if it's not an actual experience? But yeah, we're going into some.
What is anything? It's if it's not experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I don't
this
think.
experience is perceptional anyways, isn't it, in its context?
But if you have no context, how's there a story?
How do you know you got anything? I guess because from the after effects.
The residual karma that you picked up along the way.
Or the karma you just suddenly dropped away, and now you're this transcendent being. But yeah, I think that's why does it matter if you're enlightened or not? Show us you're enlightened. If you're really enlightened,
How can you
you'll
know that?
know that person's enlightened because of the way that they can manifest things around them. And
But that's your perception of what an enlightened being is. And what if what they're manifesting is not something you can see because you're not at any level?
yeah, that's well, they're in the Surangama Sutra, the last chapters. It talks about 50 demon states where demons can possess, and then they actually imitate what an enlightened being would be like.
What?
Yeah, so like as you're getting towards enlightenment, there's like 50 different demons that can possess you, and each of the demons, like anyone that saw you while you're possessed by that demon, because you're in these really high cosmic states, so demons can trick you and eventually possess you, because they take on like physical forms too. But anyways, like other people that saw that person, they would think they're enlightened because the external manifestation is completely like, oh wow, uh, they're all these magical things around them, synchronicity, and they can read people's minds. They have super strength, super uh, clairaudience, clairvoyance, those kind of things. So what else can they be? They're just enlightened. But Yeah, enlightenment usually like it's it's making people, it's giving people more liberty rather than giving people things to be attached to. Usually if a person's enlightened, that person, he's usually teaching you how to be more free, how to have more liberty, rather than teaching you, to worship someone or uh, get attached to something. So usually the trend, like not if someone, so if someone's claiming enlightenment, it's probably not enlightenment.
I, I don't think you should believe anyone who claims any of those things.
I claim to be enlightened.
And we definitely don't believe you. I mean,
I believe your dog's enlightened.
I take offense to that.
and there you go. Prove that you aren't enlightened.
I say non-offense to that. I say take no offense to that. What are you talking about?
That sounds like you're a liberal now.
I think you're enlightened with a lowercase e.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I'll take that.
Enlightened with a lowercase e. What is that?
How about you? I'm enlightened with an I. Enlightened, not enlightened. Anyways.
I'm delighted. Oh, different kind of delighted.
Darkened.
You went the other way, bro. Oh man.
I'm pretty enlightened.
I
like to claim that.
I feel it sometimes. There's actually one story that I keep thinking about. I don't even know the full story anymore. I just completely forgot. But it's something Sadhguru said, that there was this, I'm gonna call him a prince because I'm not really sure what his position was, but just call him a prince. There was this prince who kept, kept touching the realm of everything, how would we put that? Someone who's so damn close to it and sometimes pokes his nose through it but still can't get to it. Someone that existence and light, quote unquote, enlightenment brushes past his face, but he can't keep it there. He can't stay there. He can't not control it, but he can't fully submerge into it. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. For some reason or another, I feel like, and I know that's a delusion in and of itself, but sometimes there's things that are just right fucking there. They're right fucking there. And I just need to pull them to me and embody them. But I can't. I just fucking can't. Yeah, it's just so weird. And I don't know. The reason I bring this up is because what if we're all almost, quote unquote, enlightened, and it's our own biases and bullshit that's stopping us, which it is, to be honest. It is our own biases and bullshit that gets in our way. So yeah,
you guys have seen Midnight Gospel. Enlightenment is just like the first step in the next part of the journey.
Right. I mean,
yeah, Midnight Gospel is really good. They explain a lot of concepts, like, on the spot. I mean, the visuals like are amazing, but like a lot of times they have nothing to do with what they're talking about.
Nothing to do.
Except that one, the last episode where the egg, that was pretty symbolic of, he came out of the egg and he's like this other being, like, and that's just the beginning of the enlightenment.
Duncan Trussell is hilarious.
Duncan Trussell is a trip, yeah. I think collectively we might be enlightened. Individually, we're kind of fucktards.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm always the kind of person that I want to be that, ascetic, self-enlightened, I did it. I made myself enlightened. But the more and more, I dig into Buddhism and all that, it's a really like, it's a group activity, not a totally group activity. There's a hell of a lot to do in terms of developing concentration skills, developing your mind that's done on your own.
Right,
But at the end of the day, you're getting in line for each other. And
right,
also at the beginning of the journey, you can't actually, in Buddhism, like the first training is actually morality, because you can't actually learn to center your mind and learn to attain these mystic states and uh, cultivate the wisdom until you learn to steady your mind and actually be compassionate to other beings and truly love everyone around you and be happy when they're happy. um, that's what the four Brahma Viras are about. And yeah, that's why it's really important to um, practice the loving kindness meditation, and at least mentally being kind to others. But definitely when you're generous to other people, like you get that buzz. Like when you've done something good for other people and you get that buzz, like there's a lot of things that are hardwired in our system to uh, to lead us to enlightenment. When I mean, just it, being a good person is definitely supportive, if not foundational, to being enlightened.
have there been any asshole gurus, or like not gurus,
Yeah, that's the thing though.
enlightened beings who have destroyed the world?
There have been ascetics though, but those people, they had like a lot of really really good karma from their past lives, so they were already like super good to other people.
Oh,
So, but most of us, we're not born kings and stuff, so we probably don't have that foundation
mm.
of massive good karma. So yeah.
Y'all ain't kings. I'm a king.
I'm a goddamn emperor, bro. Fuck being a king. I'll
Um,
conquer all the places.
I do feel like we're all kings, modern day kings,
No,
because
no,
we got thousands of horsepower, at our fingertips. We got like
horsepower to fingertips. What?
our fingertips, but like we can drive wherever we want instantly. Like we have so many conveniences that only kings had.
I'm like a god.
Yeah.
I'm the supreme commander of the universe. That's gonna be my business card title. Supreme commander of the Ricoverse.
All right, make me a sandwich then, Supreme Commander. Should be able to do that pretty easy.
Well, I'll just hire an assistant and she'll make me a sandwich. Get 'em.
Supreme Commander, you got to be able to poof it into exist. Squeeze the atoms into a sandwich.
I think it's much easier to ask somebody to make me a sandwich than for me to create a sandwich out of nothingness. I don't, it's much easier for someone to spend half an hour to go give me a sandwich than for me to just will it into existence.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be cool though.
Yeah, I wonder how much of those powers that are talked about are real, because there's like all sorts of phantasmagoric things talked about in Avatamsaka Sutra and some of these sutras and stuff, where they pull things out of thin air. You know, uh, I don't know what the power is called, but where you just like they can pull something out of thin air that's located somewhere else. I think it's called translocation.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. So they're pulling it from a different area. They're
And
just
just like pull a pizza out of thin air, and like
it's someone else's pizza.
it was
Take a bite.
someone's.
That'd be hilarious. What if your only power was the power to take food from someone else's hands? That would be kind of a useless troll power, but you can starve people, bro. Like you could be actually fucking dangerous.
Yeah, the interest in powers is actually like one of the obstacles towards enlightenment.
Ah,
Yeah.
I don't
And then
even,
once you get, but the thing is though, once you do get enlightened, then you have all these powers, but you're not going to use most of them.
Powers, Rico. You want it all, man. You want enlightenment. You want powers. Come on, man. What is
I
it?
want to be Goku on drugs, dude. That's what the fuck I want.
But the thing is, the rationale against having powers is that uh, the universe is already pretty complete. It's already like, even like, people dying, people being born, like all the things is just cause and effect, and it's already like all. Why get your hands dirty? Why mess with things? That's why, like, perfect enlightenment is just like total perfect acceptance and total love of everything as is.
I just like to mess with things, ruffle some feathers.
Hmm.
Yeah, but then like sometimes, like, even the slightest movement can create, it's like the butterfly effect.
Right.
It
I've
can.
I've had those moments where the slightest movement I felt was gonna shatter the fucking earth, and of course I was on my adventures, but it felt like that, and that's why I chose to remain still. And I think that is one of my biggest mm, blocks or hurdles or whatever is the desire for these powers, is the desire for this kind of ability and this kind of stuff, because I've actually questioned myself many times. If I had these powers, would I actually do good with them, or would I fuck some shit up? Most of the time, I have to be real with myself and realize I would still be destroying a bunch of shit. So it makes sense that I don't have powers because I'm still not there.
Yeah, that's why, like, the most important thing is to keep working on that first training of working on, because we can always be more generous, we can always be more kind to other people and more loving, and the more we cultivate those kind of things, those virtues, the deeper we can enter into mystic concentrated states, and the more intelligent we become, even, um, because yeah, kindness and generosity is really connected with how much value you can give to other people, and creating value and giving value to other people, that's connected to how wealthy you can be, because you're able to give people things that they value and will pay you for and stuff. But
Definitely. There's like, I think there's like a value chart. There's like 30 certain values that people look for when they look for businesses. Like, and if you can, the more you can hit in those values, the better you'll have, like, to keep business coming at you, or, etc.
Just
Like,
energy.
yeah.
yeah, they've systematized kindness now.
Yeah, but that's all
I feel
energy.
like you can sniff out ingenuine kindness, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think at a practical level, even if you can just even work through those systematized things, because Buddhism has that, six paramitas. It's like basically like, generosity, uh, uh, what is it? Generosity, patience, concentration. The first one is the only real one that's related to virtue, but like, because there's little tips and tricks and things like that, and we can be insincere in practicing those, but eventually that'll get inside our heart, and that'll teach us to really be kind.
Wait, what'll teach you to be kind?
Fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Oh, I don't think fake it till make it will teach you to be kind.
I think it does, because you got that reflect, because being kind feels good, and who doesn't want to feel good?
But forcing yourself to be kind doesn't feel that good.
Well, not that I'm not talking about the whole, ignorant kindness. I'm talking about real, genuine kind. Like, eventually you'll get to a level where
It's not
you're
fake it till
kind.
make
Yeah,
You can't fake kindness, in my opinion. You can say the words and do the lip service, but like Corey was saying, you you feel it. There's that different level of energy behind it. And if you don't feel it, meditate more because you're obviously missing a bunch of fucking clues.
yeah, no, definitely that it's not genuine kindness, but if you faked all day kindness, you know, like with every thought, eventually that's going to retrain your whole thought and the way that you think and everything. Like eventually you're not going to be faking it anymore. But yeah, definitely like insincere kindness
I don't
is
know. That would tie into. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but like you can still pick up on subtleties of like body language, emotional, cues, tone, etc. Like it just depends. Like, do you really genuinely mean it? Because you can trick yourself into saying something over and over.
Yeah.
true. But the more you, it's, it's affirmations. If you keep thinking a certain way, you're gonna have all sorts of supportive thoughts that like you can keep saying like I hate myself, and you're gonna start thinking reasons, making up reasons why you hate yourself.
Mm.
But if you say, I love myself, I love me, you just keep saying that I love myself over and over, you're gonna have all sorts of supportive thoughts that come up, um, that that
That's
teach
cool.
you, give you that lens, because every perspective is technically has some truth to it. There's reasons to hate yourself, there's reasons to love yourself, there's reasons to be kind, there's reasons to be mean, but on a evolutionarily on a human evolution level, I think we've been engineered to be kind to each other. As a species, we would not have made it unless we were.
The word cooperation.
Mhm. So we have that kindness inbuilt within us. And there's some evolutionary books on that.
I
Um,
think, yeah, but over time, what happened was, seems like we picked up some sort of individualism. I don't know if we've always been individual, like, because if it was started with like tribal things along those lines, indigenous people, it wasn't just like one person against the world. But then now that we've created such comfort, it seems to be along the lines of like so much everyone wants to be an individual, yet there's so many carbon copies of so many other different people.
yeah, yeah. I think both perspectives might be true. Like
We live in a weird society.
we, we have a lot of things that I think, yeah, like being.
Tendency to want to be unique and authentic, but then there's also the tendency to want to, it looks like the opposite, like people want to be like other people, which makes them gravitate, depending on geographic location, down the plastic route, whether it's lip injections, boob implants, butt implants, Botox in the face. It's very interesting.
Wait, what? Botox.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole individualism and
I don't think
there's
there's
a propensity
individualism,
for it.
though.
Huh?
I think we've always been individuals. We've always had to be in groups. We've always been forced to survive in groups. And now that we can actually be individuals, because we don't know the person supplying our electricity, we don't know the person supplying our gas, we don't know the person supplying our water, we don't know the person supplying most of our food, we can tend to think we're individuals. So the body dysmorphia thing is a little bit different. People want to look and feel a certain different way. And here's the shit though, even when they do get this certain surgery or certain whatever the hell, I still don't think they're happy.
Oh no, I think I think it perpetuates still more unhappiness.
It, even if it comes out great, I still think they don't.
Well, it's a show. I think it's like a short dopamine high. It's kind of like we like chase a lot of dopamine. You like might like it in the moment, and then eventually you'll find something to not like about it and want to chase something else or something. I don't know what the motive is there. I haven't really picked people's brain as to why they go down that route.
They just get stuck in that route. It's like having tattoos, bro. But to me, it's similar to having tattoos. The people that want tattoos are have to sometimes do it because there's a certain emotion that they want or a certain feeling or message they want on them. And sometimes they do it for random fucking reasons and make no fucking sense, like you.
Good point. Yep.
So
I don't get them anymore, but yeah, I've been there.
yeah, so I think it's just it goes even harder when it comes to moving your body around and changing the shape of everything because that just goes with that's just trying to make you more ratio. So the golden ratio. That's just trying to get you into that nice little, I don't know what the fuck kind of face they're all going for, but they're all doing it wrong. And the ones we don't know got plastic surgery, those are the ones that did it right. The ones we go, for real, they got plastic surgery? Those are the people that are like, all right, they did that shit right. And that,
Well, yeah, that's true. That you have no idea, and then you find out later.
yeah, like I've met dozens of girls who have plastic surgery, and I was like, I thought I knew, but I don't. I don't. And I don't know. My thing is if it makes you happy, do whatever the fuck you want. You probably are not gonna end up being happy doing whatever it is, and changing the shape of your body is.
Either, I mean, yeah, doesn't seem to be a collective happiness across the board here in this world. Like, there's something that needs, like, across the board that needs to change, because even people making hella money aren't happy. So it's something wrong with the environments that we're creating here on this planet.
Yeah, it is totally the environment. Completely.
It's getting worse. He's moving his body. Good job, man.
Yeah, Ahmed. He's
Oh
always.
yeah, I'm kind of. My spine is kind of collecting. What do you call it? Calcium deposits.
I feel that. I've been sitting quite some time.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some dinner pretty soon.
For sure. Let's end this. So, how we changing everybody so they can change the world. I'm gonna call this episode "Don't Be a Useful Idiot" because I thought it made pretty much sense.
Be a critical thinker. Love who you are.
That he's
Don't hurt anybody. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, that's the theme I've been seeing through this whole SZS Telegram channel is just, to be a critical thinker, to doubt that cultural hegemony, and, to don't fall for the whole, just learn to think for yourself and doubt the, new normal kind of bullshit that they always put on us.
But you telling people to think for themselves, and what if they go, okay, I decided to trust my government. I decided to trust all these.
Well, yeah, what is the logic that built you to that point? If you have some very good, astringent logic and you really thought it out for yourself, great. Keep talking about it to people and explaining it, and maybe you're right.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have some crazy, outlandish, and definitely not so true thoughts like we all do. But sometimes those crazy, outlandish thoughts are turning to be really good, and you tend to be right.
Sometimes they tend up to be crazy.
Oh yeah, so just be careful. Tread accordingly.
Do the most, hurt the least.
Gee.
Do the most you can do, but hurt the least you can hurt.
Yeah, that's true libertarian right there.
Do as Rico does.
Yeah, for sure. I think I am gonna go into libertarianism isms.
Rico for president 2024, y'all.
2028. I'm too young. 2024.
Okay, 2028.
2028. Wait, if I turn.
Oh snap! Rico's birthday is in 3 days, y'all.
Yeah, question. If I turn 35 before the election, I'm allowed to run, right? Like if I'm 35 by November 3rd.
And yeah, then November is when the election.
So yeah, am I allowed to run even though I'm only going to be 34 during the most of the election, during most of that year? That's a good question. So I might be able to run in 2024.
Yo.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's go.
We go for
president.
Ahmed is vice president. All right, let's do this.
He is my state ambassador for Bangladesh.
All right, I like that. That's not too much responsibility.
Not at all, dude. You're just gonna plant some hemp in Bangladesh and sell it to the United States. That's all you gotta do. All you gotta do. I'll put Corey in charge of
Be the easiest job for the most amount of money.
The easiest job with the most amount of money?
No, I'm just kidding.
I have no clue what that might be. Director of the FBI? I don't know.
Just make me do the coolest shit. I just want to do the funnest stuff.
I'm gonna put you as CIA director.
Perfect.
Just for shits and giggles.
This is gonna be interesting.
This would be like,
US, the youngest
oh,
president
shit.
was 43.
Huh?
The youngest president was John F. K. 43.
Damn.
Yeah, he got killed.
43 is young as shit too. Shit, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna run for president at 35.
Perfect.
2024.
I'm voting for
Closer.
you. I'm putting you on. Yep, 2024 on the ballot. Y'all heard it here first.
Yep, 2024. Rico for president.
We're officially gonna change the world.
Yep. And the United States.
I thought presidents are selected, not elected.
Oh, he already got selected.
I'm selecting myself. Boom.
Manifestation.
That's all I need. It's all I need in the Rico verse to select myself.
Manifestation.
I have, what's it called? Investigated myself and have decided for myself that I myself am the best candidate for all of us.
Little did you know, Rico actually has lineage ties to the Rockefellers and the
Y'all don't know this shit. I'm deep state.
Little did you know. You
I know too.
I see that nose.
Oh man.
Actually, I think my nose is the most qualified out of all of us.
I don't know, man. Corey's actually a Jew, so he actually might have lineage in there.
Oh, no. Yep. All right, I'm in there. Let's go.
We all, I think we should have our own. Let's check where our lineage lands compared to their lineage, and that'll be a good check. But yeah, we'll wrap this up. Everybody have a good day. Think more for yourself. Stop listening to the news, and don't be a useful idiot. Peace.